This is the photo we're going to edit, and this is the look we're going to try and achieve. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, please do so right now. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, because I am a small channel and I want to grow. So we're going to start with the temperature. When you look at these photos, they are kind of cool, kind of less saturated, but still we're going to push the temperature down. My night photos, I usually like them about 3500. And the tint, let's just go with -21. Maybe a little bit bluer. Let's go 3200. That's fine. Looking at his photos, you can tell there's a very high dynamic range, not HDR. So we're going to do lower the highlights, increase the shadows, decrease the whites, and increase the blacks all the way. Now we have a nice high dynamic range. However, I think we're just going to go back on the highlights. Now, if you look close at his photos, you can tell there's kind of a little halo glow effect around the lights. Now, I think maybe it's because of the rain, so there's condensation around the lens and it tends to do that. Or it could also be clarity. So we're going to take a brush and we're going to reduce the clarity. And what this does is it creates kind of a little halo around all the lights. Now it's very subtle, but I notice it. So there we go. Take your time. And we're just going to go around the gross too. It also makes the photo look kind of like a little painted effect. I like that. So I am going to throw a little bit of my style in here. And that looks good. Now, I know what you're thinking, it doesn't look remotely like his. That's okay. Let's try increasing the contrast. See, maybe 75. Alright, that's good. Now, I do think my photo is a little bit too saturated. I mean, you look at his, it is much less saturated. So we're going to lose the saturation a little bit. Okay. That's looking a little bit better already. And if you notice here in the shadows, there's kind of greens and blues. Mine are completely black. We could either use the tone curve or we could use the split toning. Now, I do like split toning much more. I have a feeling he probably uses curves, but it's okay. You know, we're just trying to make the photo look something like this. So we're going to start with the highlights. They do kind of have a little bit orangish, yellowish look. So let's just play around something warm. Maybe something like that. I think he uses a much more orangey color, but we're going to go up here to the HSL panel later and mess around with those colors too. So for now, yellow's fine. The shadows, they do have kind of a bluish tone, kind of greenish tone to it. So, okay, this we'll have to do for now. You can see the shadows, kind of greenish, bluish. This is, well, let's remedy that. Let's go with that right now, because his shadows have a lot more detail. My shadows are too black. So we're going to come here to the RGB curve. I like to put these right here so that it doesn't mess around too much. We put one right there, and we're going to kind of increase the black point, something like that. So you can see it's starting to look a little bit more like his. The only problem is it's still too green for me, but that's fine. So we're going to increase it just a little bit more. Still too dark. That's too much. Like I say, there's no surefire way of doing this. You just kind of have to eyeball it and come up with something yourself. It's not going to come exactly the way he does it, but that's fine. And I'm kind of happy with that, though it does have a little bit more kind of bluish, greenish, we can remedy that. We're gonna play with the temperature in a bit. For now, I really want to come to the HSL panel. And first, let's do something about these yellows, because if you can look over here, it looks like he pushes his yellows more towards kind of the orangish look. So let's start with the reds first. If you look at his reds, they are a little bit orangish, mine are a little bit too much, so we're just gonna push it down. Maybe like that. Just kind of more. I think mine a little bit too saturated. I'm a little bit down. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave them like that. No, not bad. Look at this red and look at this red. That's fine. Okay, now let's go to our yellows, because they are bothering me. So, let's push the yellows. Let's take them all the way. There we go. You have a much nicer orange looking color. It does kind of match, you know, but I feel like my yellows are too saturated, so I'm gonna reduce the saturation. Let's see. Let's look here. We look at that. That's looking pretty good. Although there is much more green in my photo than I like. We'll do something about that. But first, like I said, I believe he probably uses gradients. It kind of looks like he used one here. So let's look over here. Let's make one temperature gradient. We're gonna set it across like that. Kind of like a little rainbow effect. So first gradient, we're gonna, actually I wanted to make it a little bit bluer, because you look at this photo, it is kind of bluish. So we're gonna lower the temperature. And like I say, we're just kind of messing around with our eyes. It is a little bit greener. So let's see that. Now mine is a little bit too saturated, so we're going to reduce the saturation too. Where is saturation? There we go. Still too saturated, that's fine. Go down. That is looking much better, I think. Although I think mine is too dark, we're just going to increase the exposure a little bit. Now these are subtle changes, you know, when you do this on Lightroom, you don't have to go too crazy. Sometimes you just have to change them just a little bit. Okay, that's pretty good. Next up, there's lots of orange on this side. So we're going to do another gradient down here, and we're going to do it more towards the orange side. And let's make this warmer. Something like that. There we go. So we have some blues and we have some nice oranges, although it looks like his is much more, way much more. There we go. So I think our photo is starting to get there, you know, it's starting to kind of look like something he would do, although it's not. I know that. I know you guys will remind me. But these lights are kind of bothering me. It's kind of a green, kind of greenish tone, and I don't really see too much green. Well, there's a little bit over here. So what we're gonna do is go down to the greens, and we're gonna lower the hue. So we got rid of this light. Okay, this light was bothering me actually. See? I like that already. Now, one more thing. Let's make all this rain pop. So what we're gonna do is gonna take a brush and Like I said, I don't know if he uses brushes, but if you're a Lightroom user, you probably do. We're just going to increase the highlights. Spot in spots. We're going to do it exact over here for the rain. If you can see, this might be too much, but that's okay, because we're going to come back, we're going to lower it. You can see these pop out quite a bit. That's looking really good. What's still bothering me is the green in the shadows. So let's close that. Let's go back to the RGB curve. We're going to go down to the greens. Let's see if we can get rid of that little green color cast. Okay, that's too much. It's very, very slight. So like I said, this is a lot of going back and forth. Actually, that kind of works, you know. Here is too aqua. I don't know if you can see the lights very well. These seem to be a little bit more neutral color, so we're just going to increase them all the way to the blue side. And that's looking pretty damn good. I think the photo is a little bit too bright, so I'm going to lower the exposure a little bit. There we go. Much nicer. So there we go. We have a photo that's not exactly like his. I mean, not exactly his exact style, but it's kind of getting there. So I'm gonna do a radial gradient right here. I want to isolate these girls. Now this is more towards my style. The light should be there. She's a little bit too big. So I know his style is a little bit much more brighter, but I want to shape this a little bit more towards the way I like it, which is a little bit darker. So I like my photos a little bit dark, although not too much, you know. Let's do -0.2. And I'm going to add a vignette, even though I don't think he adds vignettes to his photos. That's just something I like to do. And I want the highlights to remain, so we're going to increase the highlights all the way. Okay, so there you go. Actually, I think my picture is still a little too dark compared to his. So, like I said, there's a lot of going back and forth. May I keep it at 0.1. There we go. Just a slight bump in the shadows. Not too much, just too much. There we go. And it's just the shadows that are bothering me still. I think this is just the problem of the exposure. Oh, okay, there we go. So here is the Masashi Wakui photo, and here is my attempt. Actually, now that I think about it, I think mine is still a little bit too much saturation still. Let's decrease the vibrance. Let's do -10. And Yeah, there you go. This looks much more like it. Like I say, not exactly 100% his, but I think we did a pretty decent job. Just gonna increase the sharpening a little bit. I learned these settings from SLR Lounge and Luminance because our photo, when you manipulate it too much, it becomes kind of grainy. And yeah, like I said, it's not exactly the way he has his shadows, but I like the way my photo came out. Maybe increase. There you go. All right, very happy with this. And please be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, please ask me. And yeah, like I said, I'm not claiming to know everything he does. I'm just trying to make my photo look like his. So have a nice day, and I'll see you around.